Welcome in to This is MLS. I'm your host, Kaylin Kyle. Let's bring in the guys. We got Taylor Twellman joining us. We got Mo Adu, Andrew Wiebe. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We have so much to cover today because Matchday 6, we had so many questions heading into the weekend. Matchday 7, though, just around the corner. The biggest question mark, TT, was Atlanta United's attack. Did they answer our questions?
They answered my question. I just don't know if they're going to continue with it. I've been saying it for a couple months now. I think Moranchuk should be playing a little bit deeper. Mo knows this better than anyone because he's played that position. I just feel like a deep line playmaker for them with Miguel Almirón on the team. I think it suits them the way they came back against New York City. Moranchuk was playing deeper, Almirón through the middle, Saba on the right. There was a much more cohesiveness to their attack, so I'm very intrigued to see if that's part of their equation. I think it should be. I think it should have been from the opening whistle of the season. They've had some bumps in the road. I'll be shocked if it's not. And then the other one for me, guys, is this. Peter Vermees is let go. Sporting Kansas City's hosting their rival. St. Louis City versus Sporting Kansas City has been as exciting from the beginning. I have a feeling this one's going to be a dud. I have a feeling because Olaf Melberg and St. Louis, they can't score a goal to save their life. The fact that at home against Austin, he started 5 center backs, 3 defensive midfielders, only 2 attacking players at home. And Sporting Kansas City's lost 12 of the last 13. In a rivalry that's been goals, and excitement, I have a sneaky suspicion this is going to be a dud.
TT, do not speak a dud into life, man. We need goals. We need new coach bounce. Kerry Zavagnin's getting it from this Kansas City side. My headline is this. Who's getting a win? There are 5 teams that still have not won in Major League Soccer a month and a half into the season, and 2 have fired their coaches. That would be Montreal and, of course, Sporting Kansas City. Meanwhile, Toronto and Houston, they're just missing the quality they need to compete, and that leaves one team to discuss. That's the defending champions, the LA Galaxy. Still without a win, shot themselves in the foot this weekend. A goalkeeping error and a soft penalty leads to a loss against Orlando, and they're finding out why so many questions have gone unanswered for them. Can't replace Ricky Puig, can't decide on a goalkeeper, can't stop making big-time errors, and lost Maya Yoshida early in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. There is one positive, and that is Joseph Paintsel is back, and the Galaxy need one thing, Mo, and that is a dub.
Man, y'all out here killing my vibe right now. Yeah. Talking about duds, talking about negatives, guys can't win. I'm going to focus on what I actually enjoyed from this past weekend, and I think you guys will all appreciate this, and that was DPs showing up, right? We saw that across the league, across the games, 21 goals scored by various DPs and attacking players. Carlos Hill getting a brace, Mihailovic, player of the week, him getting a brace, Diego Rossi. We know Messi's going to score goals. That's just what he does. Lucho Acosta getting a goal in his Dallas game and becoming just another player to get 75 goals, 75 assists in his MLS career. Long may this continue with the success of DPs thriving. And we all know a lot of these team successes and the basically the ceiling of where your team can really go in this league is dependent on how your DPs play. So I'm really pleased with so far the early returns from some of these DPs. I will say one focus area and one team that needs to give more to their DP and support him is DC. Benteke is doing it again on a solo mission here, trying to will this team into a better position, but he needs help. But again, across the board, happy with the DPs.
Yeah, but hang on. Mo, how could DC get help from DPs when they traded one to Atlanta? It's impossible for him to help Benteke if he's a DP, but he's playing for the other team.
You're not wrong, TT. You're not wrong. I guess he's the only DP for Atlanta that didn't score, right? Because technically, is he a D? Yeah, so much in the mix.
He's not, but he is on DC. So anyways, we just lost the viewer for the last 20 seconds of complete nonsense.
That's fine. I'm going to bring him back because I'm going to build off, Mo, the positive energy, the aura that you're putting out into the world right now because Major League Soccer, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary, the inaugural MLS match played between San Jose and DC United back on April 6th of 1996. They will be played going against each other this coming weekend, and it truly is remarkable, TT. I mean, not only the pitcher quality here, but what we're seeing, how it's transformed into Major League Soccer in 2025. There is so many positives, the training facilities, the soccer-specific grounds, but where do you want to see this league continue to improve?
First off, hat tip to Eric Winalda. What a finish. He did that many a times in his career. It was a great cutback and a great finish. I think if you would have said to the Hunts, the Crafts, and the Anschutz families in 1994, when the idea came together about Major League Soccer, that 30 years from now, we'd have teams spending $50 million on players coming into this league, stadiums that we have in cities that at that time, when the 94 World Cup ended, none of those families and none of those gentlemen involved would have ever believed that we would be in this moment. So you've got to appreciate where we've come in 30 years. It's also motivating to what the next 30 years can be. And you got to have real conversations. I think Don Garber deserves a ton of credit for where this league has gone, a vision of where this league needs to go. And I think they now, on the precipice of the World Cup, less than 430 days away from being in this country, less than 30, 50 days away, whatever it is, the Club World Cup is going to be here with 2 MLS franchises in there. The one thing Major League Soccer has always impressed me is that, and I hate the word change because I think the better word is evolution. Yeah. They evolve, they listen, they see where it is, whether it's through expansion or whatever it may be. But there's 2 difficult conversations that they need to have, and I think they are aware of it. It's very difficult to have the conversation of changing the schedule, but it's also a necessary one because now when you've got hundreds of millions of dollars of players being exported out of your league and imported into your league, you want to maximize that with the rest of the world in the most expensive leagues in the world and that schedule. The other part is you want to have your most important games playing away from the NFL. The league knows that. The owners know that. It's a complicated one, but I think it's one that they need to have and they're going to have. The other one is this, and I think this is the most intriguing one for me, is that you have the ability now to allow a little bit more, I would say, identities come through your spending. So, for instance, Atlanta United went out and spent $50 million on a couple designated players. What if they wanted to come out and say, listen, we want to spend $50 million, but we want to spend it on 10, 12. I just think there's such an eclectic group, an inclusive group of owners now in this league versus 1996 that now you can have those conversations of where this league wants to go and where it's going to be, and you can use the World Cup to go there. I think those are 2 difficult conversations, but I think they're ones that the league and the owners need to have.
I completely agree with Taylor. And on the schedule side, I would point to a guy like Cucho Hernandez and the Columbus Crew, where at the end of the European window, your best player gets bought, but the Crew are sort of in a middle ground. Who can they go pick up from Europe? Where can they reinvest? How can they keep their level as high as possible? And that's where I sort of echo what Taylor says in the sense of embrace competition with each other within the league, but also with Europe for players. That competition means that the best teams can continue to reinvest under the rules and grow their team and grow their core and keep that group together. LA Galaxy is a good example of that one, as opposed to having to tear it all down and refigure it out after winning a championship. The more great teams this league has, the better. And I think MLS needs to embrace ways to encourage that, to grow that, and give every single club an opportunity to be their very, very best self.
Okay, I'm just going to add one thing.
Why are you coming at me?
Well, I'm just saying.
Why are you coming at me?
Because you steer this conversation. You're going to take us to the next topic, so I wanted to make sure you let me get this in there real quick.
I got you. I always got you, Mo.
I appreciate what both of the guys said. They're spot on. My only suggestion is expansion, baby. Bring it to Vegas. Wow. Vegas is waiting. We're out here waiting.
You're just trying to lessen your commute, Mo? You tired of getting on a plane, my man?
We're out here waiting. Come on. Come on.
To be honest, because we have Taylor and Andrew here, I don't think that they would be complaining going to Vegas for a Sunday night soccer show. Speaking of Sunday night soccer,
you time before the match, TT? Yeah? Okay, cool.
Inter Miami welcoming Toronto FC this coming Sunday. 2 opposite teams on the spectrum. For Toronto FC, just 2 points on the season, still looking for their first win of the season. Meanwhile, Inter Miami just through 6 match days. They sit top of the Supporters' Shield and currently top in the Eastern Conference. And I know every time we talk about Major League Soccer, we talk about Inter Miami, and I understand that. They have one of the best players in the world, if not of all time, with the GOAT of Lionel Messi. So, and probably one of the deepest rosters as well. So when we are looking at this team, is there any teams for you, maybe let's start with you, that can come close to Inter Miami this season in 2025? Can they knock them off?
Can they knock them off? Can somebody win the Shield? Can somebody win MLS Cup? Sure, that's possible. Can anyone right now in match day 6 leading into 7 match Inter Miami's level? No. Nobody in Major League Soccer currently is close to Inter Miami on talent, on depth, as you said, and on results. But one team can get there, in my opinion, and it's the same team that challenged Inter Miami during most of the 2024 regular season that almost got them at the end before falling short, and that is the Columbus Crew. The Crew are without Cucho. They are missing that elite, top-level MVP guy in their team, but they can go get that player. Isatal and the Crew went with the DP formation, the DP model under the salary cap. That means they can have up to 3 senior DPs. Currently, they have 2. Darlington Nagbe can be bought down. They have $16 million from the Cucho sale, and the aim is to go get a difference maker, perhaps 2. Ideally, 1 in this window before April 23rd closes it, and certainly doing that work in the summer. So if the Crew can go get that player while they're still stacking results under Wilfred Nancy, while they still have the same identity they did before, this is a team that by the end of the season can reach the level that Inter Miami is at. But right now, come on, nobody. It's Inter Miami and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I agree with the first part, especially that Miami has set themselves above the rest and to be expected. If I'm going to make a case, I'm going to make a case based off of ambition, right? Atlanta United, right? And I know right now you're watching this team and you're going, Atlanta United, are you kidding me? Their potential in terms of what their ceiling is incredibly high because of the 3 DPs that they have, 2.5, I would say. Miranchuk still needs to show more on a consistent basis. But for whatever reason, they seem to play Miami well. You look back at the game where they lost 2-1 on a late goal from Fafa Pico. If they take their chances earlier in that game, they probably come out winning that game. And magical things, we've all seen it. We've all witnessed it in person. We've witnessed it from afar. Magical and crazy things happen at the Benz. If they can go ahead and make that place a fortress yet again, they have the top-end talent to go and win you games, but they got to shore things up defensively. And the other team that I would throw in the mix is LAFC. Similar in the sense that they're also an ambitious team. They haven't been performing at the level that they need to be at the moment. The summer transfer window is when LAFC do some really good business. They don't have as much flexibility at the moment, but I still anticipate John Thorrington finding some creative ways to strengthen this team, to assess what this team is doing at the moment. We're going to get a good look at how far they are actually from Inter Miami because they play them tonight in CCC competition. So that's another team that I would throw in the mix to potentially contest with Inter Miami.
TT, you disagree with Mo.
I just don't love where LAFC is with the prospects and the rumors that Antoine Griezmann's going to wait until the World Cup to make that move. I think Griezmann coming over here changes it. Listen, there's a rumor floating around and a strong one that Thomas Mueller with the Bayern and LAFC relationship, does he change that? I mean, listen, this is a World Cup winning player. I'm not talking about the pedigree. I look at LAFC in the last 5 games in all competitions, they've only beaten Sporting Kansas City. So I can't figure them out. Denis Bouanga's gone, 8 games now in MLS play only, where he hasn't scored a goal. I don't know where LAFC is, but I understand what Mo's talking about. I just don't know if it's Griezmann or not. I don't know. Right now, you guys we're doing this on April 2nd. And so for the viewer and the listener, Miami's ahead of where they were last year at the same moment. They lost to Montreal at this point. They're unbeaten in Major League Soccer. They're on pace to break their record for most points in the regular season at this moment. I do agree with the Columbus Crew in this sense. 2023 with Cucho, 2024 with Cucho, 2025 without Cucho, their analytics in the final third are identical as those 2 years. So I told everyone, and nobody wanted to listen to me in Columbus, my money's on Wilfred Nancy. My money's on Wilfred Nancy. It made Christian Ramirez look like a playmaker. My money's on Wilfred Nancy to weather the storm until they spend $15 million on number 9 this summer. The only team I would throw into this, because of where they were last year, is FC Cincinnati with Matt Miazga. They don't look anything of the sort without Matt Miazga, but that was the best defensive team in Major League Soccer last year until he got hurt. Evander's got 4 goals. Denke's got 3, if not 4 goals. He's missing chances. If all of a sudden those go in, I just feel like if Miazga comes back, there's something to be said. But when it's all said and done, I actually think Miami's going to chase their record from last year, and I think we're going to be talking about it in the final 3 games of the season.
Inter Miami taking on Toronto this coming weekend, and it's a tough situation for Toronto FC right now, not only with their designated players, but for the new manager in Robin Fraser. A great manager, just a very, very, very difficult situation for him to have to deal with things both on and off the pitch. Transitioning, because there was a little bit of fun and a little bit of a heated moment on match day 6 with Dean Smith and Chris Armas. You can see Dean Smith saying, "Don't tell the referee to give my player a yellow card. Let the referees deal with the situation." We saw in the post-game press conference, Dean Smith just not happy. But these are the things that we love to see in Major League Soccer. Two managers that are heated, that are passionate, that want their teams to do well, which leads me to another manager, a difficult situation over in Sporting Kansas City. And it's hard to talk about because you have someone like a Peter Vermees. We're celebrating 30 years in Major League Soccer, and what he's done not only on the pitch with Sporting Kansas City, it's actually what he's done and created off the pitch to really instill what he's done here in Major League Soccer. 2013 MLS Cup champion. He was a 3-time US Open Cup champion and 203 regular season wins. That's third of all time, but this one is incredible. The longest serving head coach in Kansas City and professional sports history. That speaks volumes. So T, let's start with you. What has Peter Vermees meant not only to the landscape in Major League Soccer, but the U.S. soccer as a whole?
Oh, man. I mean, listen, there was a time when we used to play in Kansas City and it was in Arrowhead and you felt like it was the halftime of the Chiefs game and there was about 5,500 people there. And for our situation, that was about 4,500 Sloman. So it was, listen, I've said this numerous amount of times. I think the ownership group led by the Patterson and Illig family, okay, and Peter Vermees changed Sporting Kansas City into a destination. The fact that they had a seat at the table not once but twice with Cristiano Ronaldo before he went to Saudi Arabia tells you where this is. But it had to start with someone, and it had to start with Peter Vermees. Peter Vermees is a player. You can't talk about this league without talking about Peter Vermees. And the 17 years, however long he was at Sporting Kansas City since 2009 as a manager and ultimately as the sporting director, this is a big decision, guys, and this is not an overnight clean house. We just figure it out. People do not understand what Peter did for Sporting Kansas City, from the academy to the medical staff to the front office to the technical staff to negotiating contracts to the ownership group, whatever it may be. So it's not like, okay, Peter's gone. His longtime assistant, Kerry Zavagnin, is taking over. Kerry Zavagnin, if I'm not mistaken, has been a part for 500 some odd games. 490 of them probably were with Peter Vermees. So this is difficult. This is a real transition. This is a new one for the ownership. If I'm not mistaken, they haven't hired anyone other than Peter Vermees. So it's a long-winded answer of saying this is very intriguing. I will be shocked if if their door and their phone is not ringing off the hook, because I think the $100 million training facility, the academy, the stadium, the ability to redo, change certain things with Sporting Kansas City. There's going to be a lot of managers that want that job, but their toughest test is going to be this weekend, because if they do not show up in the fan base, and Weeby, you know this better than anyone, there's going to be a lot of City Red in that stadium this weekend, like there was last year, and they don't win that game, that's where this conversation becomes a little bit muddier, for lack of a better word, because I think it's a big change.
T, you're absolutely right. The passion for Sporting Kansas City has waned, and it's waned because the results aren't there. And Mike Illig came out in his press conference and said it makes sense. There's not that much to show up for right now. And I was witness to the metamorphosis. I was covering the Kansas City Wizards as they transitioned to Sporting Kansas City, as Peter Vermees went from the front office to the sideline. You cannot talk about Kansas City or Major League Soccer without pointing to that success story, because it trickled down to myriad other clubs who visited the stadium, who visited the facilities, who looked at the sporting patterns that Kansas City and Peter Vermees put in place and said, we want to emulate that. Mm-hmm. But in the end, it just stopped clicking the last few years. And this change is absolutely necessary. And now the challenge for Kansas City is exactly what you said, TT. They have not done this before. Peter was the sun in the universe. Sporting Kansas City has to create a new sporting universe. The biggest decision they have to make is not about the manager, is not about Kerry Zavagnin right now. It's about who they want to be as a soccer club and who the right person is to lead that soccer club. The CSO, that is the biggest hire, and every single thing they do trickles down from that decision.
It has to be different, Weeby. It has to be separate. You guys have heard me say this, and I get it. Greg Berhalter's trying to do it in Chicago, Bruce Arena in San Jose. You have to separate church and state. The way this league is with scouting and academies and MLS Next Pro and the pro pathway, there's just too much. There's too much. The other part is, Mo, you know this, and Kaylin, you know this. If the technical director is the head coach, and the head coach tells you that day in training, you were absolutely awful, and then you go in and try to negotiate a contract with the same person, it's impossible to wear two hats now and get the most out of those players. It's just not doable. That's why I think Sporting Kansas City has to really separate church and state and start there. I think Kerry Zavagnin, if he does well, will put his hat in the ring, and I think the Illig and Patterson family believe in Kerry Zavagnin because he's been there for so many games if he shows that he's different than Peter Vermees.
DT, it was really interesting because you just said the phones are going to be ringing off for people that are going to be wanting this head coaching job. So what do? Do you go with someone like a Bruce Arena, a Greg Berhalter, or do you go with someone like Minnesota did, like an Eric Ramsey that's young and up and coming? Because it's going to be almost those growing pains for a few years, and fans are going to have to temper their expectations on this isn't going to be a quick switch of a light where it's, now we're a good team, we're winning every single weekend.
I don't think it's a definitive answer, Mo. I don't.
I agree with that sentiment, TT. And I think the fans is a group that you need to speak to with this conversation as well, because you're right, Kaylin. Sometimes you get that new manager bounce and you get results straight away. But for a firing like this, where Peter Vermees meant so much to everything about this organization, I think fans definitely have to temper their expectations, because this is not just a quick reinstate someone else and everything's going to be the grass is green type scenario. No. And to your question about what kind of manager you bring in, I think this is a time where they have to give some real thought to what direction they want this club to go. Peter Vermees built everything and instilled everything that we associate with Sporting Kansas City. So now it's like, do you want a whole new reboot? Because with Kerry Zavagnin, I agree with what TT's saying. If he does well, of course, why would his name not be in contention? But how different is he really from what has already been in existence for this club? Do the ownership group want to go a completely new direction, go to maybe a younger manager, go to a European manager, go to the well of managers that have already had experience within this league? That's yet to be determined. But the easiest part sometimes in these scenarios is firing the manager. The hardest part is finding the replacement and giving him time to really instill what he wants this group, this organization, and what the fans should expect from this team going forward. Because it's not going to be 2.0 of Peter Vermees, no, and it shouldn't be. Whoever comes in has to instill their own set of values, their own set of playing philosophy, and it has to be one that the fans can buy into.
I want to end on just one. Andrew. I just went in on one quick note, and it goes to what you just said, Mo, which is that Kansas City and this club would be lucky to find someone who even resembles the effect that Peter Vermees had on this market. Remember, they're probably not watching World Cup games in Kansas City next year if Peter Vermees doesn't do what he did in this market. And I went in on a personal note, because my first experience professionally in Major League Soccer, covering Major League Soccer, was with Peter Vermees in Kansas City. In days where I was young, just out of college, and he could have dismissed me. And Peter Vermees treated me with respect. Peter Vermees demanded excellence from me in terms of my coverage, in terms of how I asked questions, in terms of how I thought the game. And I would never have been in this place talking to you guys about soccer professionally had it not been for Peter Vermees. So I just want to say thank you to him as a Kansas kid, as a person whose career launched within his orbit, and who has watched from afar and respected everything he's done.
I blame Peter, Weeby. I blame Peter. I'm the same.
Hey, I was thinking the same thing.
Pete, it's on you.
I was like, it's his fault, man.
Seriously, Peter, we got to deal with this?
Cheers, Peter. Now we're stuck with Andrew Weedy for the next 10
Bring it
years.
on. Thank you, Peter.
No, Peter, honestly, everything that you've done, not only for Sporting Kansas City and Major League Soccer, it does not go unnoticed. So switching into the Western Conference, because it is truthfully the wild, wild West over there. And I mean that in the utmost respect. LAFC is the only team, the only top 5 team in the West from last season that is currently in a playoff position. Who would have ever thought that Vancouver, Austin, San Diego would be holding those first, second, and third spots right now heading into match day 7 of Major League Soccer. So I want to have a little fun with you guys. I want to play a little game in the West. Let me know if you guys are buying, selling, or holding stock within a team. So Weeby, I want to start with you, and TT, maybe you can jump in off the back end of this, because Minnesota has been an interesting story since Eric Ramsey has taken the helm of it. They were known to be very defensively sound last season, and now they have 2 goal scorers on the team with 4 goals apiece. Weeby, are you buying, you selling, you sticking?
All right, I am bullish on Minnesota United, sitting in 4th right now. So I'm buying. I'm breaking out the wallet, getting the brokerage going. Both the recent draws they've had have been concentration lapses. Otherwise, this team would have 5 wins and 1 loss, the only loss being to LAFC on opening day. Eric Ramsey will fix those concentration lapses. And I love the forward pairing. Yeboah and Tani Olashehi both have 4 goals. But here's where I need to see growth for my investment to grow. They need production and goals from elsewhere. It's just Tani and Yeboah other than Hassani Dotson on the score sheet. So Wangwane, Lode, Pereira, all these guys, you've got to find a way to contribute. If those guys do it and Ramsey does what I think he will with the defense, this is a team that's a solid bet for not just the top 4, but maybe even more because, as you said, Kay, that West is wild and open.
Yeah, I'm buying them. I'm buying them because I think their chief soccer officer is a real good one, Khalid El Hamad. I think he's brilliant in the way he has set up this team. He has given himself some real flexibility this summer, guys. There is potential, not only 1, but 2 DPs if they wanted to go about a different way in constructing it. Dotson's injury is an interesting one, though, because for Eric Ramsey, he's a Swiss Army knife. He can play multiple positions. He loves them. Even Hassani saying it was a contract dispute at the beginning of the year, yet a true professional showing up, performing still at that level, that injury. But I'm still buying them because I think their chief soccer officer is one of the best in this league and is understated. And I think this summer he can work some magic with this roster.
Speaking of magic, Austin, Mo, coming off 3 consecutive wins.
Ooh.
I mean, they continue to show up week after week after a slow start to the season. Buy, sell, or are you holding on them?
I'm going to hold with Austin, and I'm going to hold. I know they're 2nd in the West right now, but I'm going to hold because I look at them and I say, you know what? They'll definitely be a playoff team, but they'll be in the top 4 contention throughout the course of this year. And the reason I'm going with that is Nico Estevez has come in and he said, foundationally, we have to be solid defensively. I've criticized them and given them their praise, but I've criticized them in a little bit of ways because every game has been by a 1-goal margin. And in my estimate, it's like you're leaving that door open. So while I appreciate the fact that they're getting clean sheets, they're on this good run of form at the moment, the one thing that has to continue to develop is their forward production. But Brandon Vasquez, he finally got his first goal. Murto Uzuni got his first goal in the last game. Usman Bakari showed some signs of semblance of what he could be as that third part of their DP setup. But from a defensive standpoint, from an organizational standpoint against the ball, this team looks incredibly there's clarity on who they want to be from that standpoint. And I think that'll give them a good chance to maintain a strong position in the West.
I was thinking hold, but because Mo's going there and they're in 2nd place right now, I'm going to have to sell high, I think, 2nd place in Austin. And that's not because I don't have faith. I love the progress defensively from Nico. I think the forwards will start to develop more chemistry. But will they be 2nd in the West when everything shakes out? Probably not for me. So I am going to sell, but I will buy some individual stock in Owen Wolf. Watching him on the sideline at Sunday Night Soccer was an absolute pleasure. The kid is so special. He's going places and a ton of responsibilities on his shoulders in terms of attacking creation this offseason. So I'll sell, I'll take my money, I'll take my profits, and I'll move on.
Andrew, you can't just add your own little twist on my game, okay? Stay in your lane. Just buy, sell, or hold. That's all I'm asking.
You're just in the market making moves.
It's Peter's fault.
Maybe one team that has taken us all by surprise is the Seattle Sounders, currently in 12th position, haven't won in their last 4 games in all competition. TT, buy, sell, or hold?
Oh man, I will buy anything Brian Schmetzer's ever going to sell me. But when this season started, I was on this program. I wasn't really buying the Seattle Sounders. And listen, I said this last year. Rusnak, Jordan Morris, fantastic seasons. But if they are your DPs, can you win an MLS Cup? And I don't know if you can win an MLS Cup with them. I don't know if you can. And I say that because they're really good soccer players, but are they superstars? Are they guys that can get you over the hump? Now with the injury to Areola, Jesus Ferreira doesn't look the part. So to answer your question, I'm buying Schmetzer. I'm selling this roster. I just don't know if they have enough going the other way that can scare the other team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to win a game unless it's 0-0 and they get a hope the way they did last year in the playoffs. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna buy Seattle. I'm gonna buy Seattle for a lot of what you said there, for a lot of the reasons that you said there, TT, because they're at what could be seen as like a lowest point, right? What are they, 12th in the West right now? Mm-hmm. And as I look at the West, there's a certain aura, although they don't have the same superstar players that I attach to Seattle. And through Brian Schmetzer, I trust in him that he will be able to rejig this team and get them to their best. They just signed Ryan Kent, a player that I know. He played at one of my former clubs at Rangers. And if he can come in and hit the ground running and kind of be that replacement for Paul Areola, his skill set is a special one. He's a creative player. He likes to go 1v1. It's not going to all fall on his shoulders. Jesus Ferreira has to find his form and where he fits into this team. When Jordan Morris gets back from injury, he has to deliver another standout performance as a number 9 for them. But there's still pieces that have experience in having success that are within this club. So I'm going to buy them because they're at their lowest point, and I imagine as the season progresses, they'll figure some things out. Hopefully there's some movement later on or just some growth, and they'll be higher up in the table.
I like your positivity, Nemo. Everything's sunshine and rainbows and beautiful
My glass
flowers.
is half full over here. You know what I mean?
Okay,
we'll see how the market reacts to that sort of sentiment.
And I really want to put you on the spot here because LA Galaxy, worse than Seattle this season through 6 match days, currently in 13th position, no wins on the season, and only 2 points to their name. Buy, sell, or hold.
It's for me?
You're not gonna have a lot of money left if you're buying both these teams right now.
Well, you know what? Tigres game last night gave me some belief and some confidence, and Joseph Painsil being back, I'm gonna buy for the similar reasons that I'm buying Seattle. Galaxy are at their lowest point. Now, I'm not gonna buy with the expectation that Ricky Pooch, whenever that return is gonna come back and take them to the promised land because there's still so many variables with his return that you have to take into account. When, first of all, it is how quickly he can get back to top level form, and then how quickly he can reintegrate himself into the group. I'm going to buy for similar reasons and that I trust Greg Vanney. He's a manager that I trust. He's a manager who's shown his credentials and pedigree within this league, and he has a way of knowing how to bring the best out of the players that he has at his disposal. So that's Joseph Painsil, who's now back, Gabriel Peck, who's been craving his wingman to be back into the fold. Galaxy are at their lowest point right now. I can only see them going uphill as this season progresses. So I'm buying.
So that's what this game is, right? So if they're one place higher than they are now, technically that's a buy, correct? Just I want to clarify just what everyone's doing here. Is that what it is?
That's the simplified version.
Hey.
Yeah.
I didn't make the rules.
Okay, so I'll buy the Galaxy, but I was on this program when the season started and said I wouldn't be shocked if the Galaxy missed the playoffs. I think they're going to really struggle this year. I remember Sasha's face. I remember Mo's face. Kaylin gave me a positive one because she's like, oh, that's intriguing. That's a random one. And the reason why I bring that up is, what are they missing? 4 MLS Cup starters. Ricky Pooch tears his ACL. Joseph Painsil's out. Christian Ramirez is not Jovic without guys. I love Greg Vanney. I love what he has when he's got a full squad. He doesn't have a full squad. I don't know if he's going to have a full squad. To expect a ton from Ricky Pooch, who has torn his ACL, this season could be almost lost at that point.
Yeah.
So do I buy them that they may win a couple games and be higher than where they are? Sure. I think they're going to struggle. I think it's a real grind for the LA Galaxy. Yes, they tied Tigres 0-0. Great, you hold them to no away goals. I don't know if you were that dangerous. Goalkeeping's a real issue for them. I just think it's going to be a long season for the LA Galaxy, and I think that's going to be ultimately where I stand. But sure, I'll buy them that they're going to be higher than where they are now, but I don't know how much higher we're talking about.
TT, I smiled at you because Sasha, I said the same thing to Sasha in studio. I'm like, I don't even think I think the Galaxy is going to struggle to make the playoffs. And he made me felt like the dumbest person in the room. I was like, thanks, Sash. I was like, TT has my back. Sorry, Andrew, go on.
No, it's okay. I'm gaming the market. You guys are buying, the stock price is rising, and I'm selling. I'm selling right now. And I'm going to take what I can, and I'm going to reinvest it elsewhere because I agree with TT. I think it's very possible this team is more than just fine at the end of the season, and just fine means making the playoffs, not being in the top four most likely. But the bumpy road ain't over. Maya Yoshida left after 30 minutes last night. He is their captain.
You think they make the playoffs right now?
I think it's possible. T, I think it's possible.
Don't sit on the fence, Weeby.
I just sold. I think it is possible, given the pieces that they have. Is it likely? Maybe, maybe not. But there's 9 teams that make it.
Why would you sell them if you think it's possible they're going to make the playoffs?
I'm reinvesting elsewhere, guys.
My stock.
Guys, this is
no. I don't want you anywhere near my stock.
Taylor, market opportunity. I'm reinvesting in other stocks. I think I can get more out of the other stocks that I'm going to put my money in. And I got something to sell Mo. I got to figure out what it is, but this man's buying everything, so I got to come up with a product.
Come on.
Mo's got that money. He's got the money flowing in and out. He's got that lovely house in Vegas. He's going to be buying an MLS franchise.
Man. When all these sales or buys, whatever I'm doing over here pay off, you'll see. All right.
Let's take a look at Matchday 7 schedule. Dean Smith is taking on Nashville. Nashville continue to heat up in the 2025 season. Galaxy looking for their first win on the road against RSL. Atlanta United want to heat up yet again over at the Benz, this time hosting FC Dallas. And our Sunday night soccer takes us to Florida as Inter Miami welcome Toronto FC. Our pregame coverage kicking off at 6 p.m., halftime analysis, and then wrap up with our very own Kevin Egan and the lads. Gentlemen, that does it for us on This is MLS. Kaylin Kyle, Taylor Twellman, Mo Adu, and Andrew Wiebe. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
If you need stock tips, call Wiebe, apparently.
Don't call Wiebe.
Economics 101 from Mo. Bye.
Cheers, Peter.